My name is Tim Sisson. I'm Managing Director at William Morfoot Limited. This morning we're in the fens in the sort of West Norfolk, Cambridge border area, and we're working for an existing client that we've done work for over many years in this particular field. This is one of 9 fields that we're doing some schemes for this summer on this particular landowner. And over the course of the autumn and winter of 2023 and then into the spring of 2024, the field behind me had some very nasty wet holes in places, which resulted in the wheat crop that was on here unfortunately failing in certain areas. So our remit on here is to design a scheme to pick up those wet holes and to address the drainage in those areas so that there isn't a problem then going forwards and the water can get effectively to the ditch. It's a particularly big field, this one. We're not draining all of it, but we've had to look quite closely at the levels in the survey information. It's serviced by an IDB ditch down 2 sides, and we've had to look closely at the way that we align the scheme to make sure that we can pick up the wet holes on an effective basis with the drains going at the required depths. In a fenland environment, we'd typically be looking to put drains in with 850 to 900 mil of cover through the low areas, and we want them to be at that depth so that they're well out of the way of the potential from being hit from a subsoiling operation. We're very aware that our schemes have got a service many years ahead. Typically anything from 30 to 50 years older is the age of the schemes that we're replacing. So at any point in the next 30 to 50 years in a wet season, we don't want a subsoiling operation done in wet conditions to see a tractor dropping in and then a tine hooking through one of our drains. So down at that depth, we find that they're out of the way. We also find that putting them in that depth is the optimal distance from the surface to laterally draw the water from either side of the drainage pipe. Typically we'd be working on a 20-metre space scheme in wet areas in this kind of environment, and 20 metres is a well documented recognised spacing to be able to pull water in a timely way towards the drains, get it to the ditches and get it away so that the crop isn't going to suffer going forwards. Critically, what we're looking to try and achieve is a sensible balance between air, moisture and nutrients within the soil type, and if you get any of those 3 things out of balance, what you find is that the crop struggles very quickly and in extreme cases can turn yellow and quickly die and rot to nothing if it's left underwater for long periods of time. So we're effectively creating a wider window for the soil to be in its optimum condition. It has a yield benefit first and foremost, which is what a lot of people like to talk about with land drainage, but specifically we know that the benefits exist are far wider than that, with in particular the timeliness of operations, both from a drilling window, harvesting window, and then a fertiliser and spray application as well, are all key things that farmers are looking for. Drainage also massively helps with ensuring crop uniformity, crop ripening at the same time, making for a less stressful environment in which to farm amongst, which we're finding is a bigger and bigger platform amongst today's farmers where time is always of the essence. Morfoots have been using Mastenbroek for many years now, and we originally had one of their very early machines back in the 80s and ran that very successfully amongst other Mastenbroek machines through the 80s and 90s. We're continuing to use Mastenbroek for all of our trenching requirements today. It's something I feel very strongly about, that we should be using the best kit that's out there for our trenching operations. The setup we've got behind us here is a very specialist setup. It's over 20 tons. The machine you can see behind us on steel tracks, which means that it's able to keep operational in all conditions throughout the year. And critically, when we're working in this fenland environment, what we're really looking to try and achieve is very precise grading of the drains as they go in. We're working at typical gradients of 0.1%, which is 100 mil of rise in 100 linear meters. And that's obviously a very small amount of fall over that distance. And so what we don't want is any settlement going on with the trencher as it passes over potentially wet soils that could cause any kind of undulation in the drain in terms of the way it's laid, because it's critical that water moves from A to B in the precise format. The way it's all gone now with Mastenbroek with GPS means that we've got the full package on this machine with auto steer, making it much easier for the driver to be able to focus on the operation of the pipe going in and checking everything's as it should be. And we've really been early adopters of GPS since it was first introduced back in 2011-12. And all of our trenching machines that we now run have GPS on it as well. So we've worked closely with Mastenbroek to give them feedback over the years of how things are working for us, what's worked well and what hasn't. And what we're able to now produce is a very customised build for what suits our purpose, and very excited to have this machine on the ground as a result.